to chat about what the future of MSA looks like, our Mechanical Systems and Ag course. I know that we are transitioning this year to having, as far as our PD goes, a briefcase to deliver a portion of that course, and it's going to be broken up. So before we get into the specifics about what small gas engines is and what that's going to look like starting in 2023, just tell us a little bit about the Mechanical Systems and Ag, what the future of that course looks like, and how that led to the first offshoot of it, which is small gas engines.
Yeah. So our Mechanical Systems and Agriculture course was developed in 2018, incorporated a bunch of different content designed to teach mechanical systems as applied to engineers, technicians, and tradespeople in their careers. Well, it was what we learned the last time it was done in person is it really needed to stretch from a 9 to 10-day institute. That's really tough. Teachers can't commit 2 full weeks. It would be a long distance institute. And a lot of times teachers would like to teach a unit out of MSA and not necessarily the whole content. And so the case advisory team or committee advised to the case team to divide mechanical systems agriculture into different modules. And the curriculum coordinators, we are making sure that as we package them, that there's still scaffolding within to call back on the things first as small gas engines that you had done in the first unit. So the first one that's being pulled out is small gas engines. It'll be a 12-week curriculum. We will have a portion on CAD and then some automation. The release dates and even the names of those are not official yet, but those will be coming up. If you are MSA certified at this point in time, you're going to be certified in those new updates. And so you'll automatically, on my case, get a small gas engines certification. You'll have access to that new curriculum.
Great. So we know that teachers probably either want to know, is this course going to fit what I need for my students? And once they know that, they want to find out how they can get certified. So I think one of the first things is, obviously, if it's small gas engines is the title, we generally know what that is, but can you take us just generally through some of the units, or what does it look like in the classroom for the students?
Yeah, so the students are going to go through 3 units. The first unit is very much about safety. And so what's the safety settings around us, and what is shop safety in general, and then dive into equipment safety around the small engine. So anything from a chemical, looking at SDH sheets, to how do we start an engine and how do we do that safely. Then dive right into engine operations, the 4-cycle theory, and the 5 events that are involved with 4-cycle engines. And then students do a traditional tear down and reassembly of the engine. What's different about the case look at it is students develop technical skills that then a diesel technician or any ag technician would need as they're tearing it down and putting it back together. And we're analyzing the engine as a series of systems, and because the root of small gas engines is mechanical systems. So what is the compression system? What is the ignition system, et cetera? That's what really makes it stand out. Lastly is diagnostics. There's a diagnostic unit where students do some troubleshooting, and then we train students on how to do a work repair order as if they were a technician for a dealership or a repair shop.
Now, this could be, I've got a question at the end that we'll save to the end that could be a little controversial. So
okay.
If a teacher knows that sounds like what they need, then the next step, especially if you're new to CASE, is you'll need to get certified in that course. And so if you're familiar enough with CASE, you know that if it was once a full year course that you would have attended an institute in the summer, which is, several days, almost a weekend plus, now we know it's going to move to the briefcase model. So we know that that's a shorter event that could happen almost anywhere at almost any point in the year. So tell us a little bit about what's the time commitment for that, and what do you think in general, understanding anybody that sees it, we're recording this in January of 2023, but in general, if teachers wanted to start budgeting to attend this PD, also keeping in mind, if you don't know this, that CASE certification is forever once you get that, what are those time commitments and registration fees looking like?
So time commitments it's an 18-hour PD, so 2.5 days. That could stretch out to be a little bit longer depending upon how it's implemented at the state level or regional level, if it's attached to an ag teachers conference or whatnot. But it's 18 hours of PD. And so we're looking at right now, some of the institutes are starting in on day 1 at 10 a.m. and day 3 they're ending at noon. And then the day 2 they're the traditional 8 to 5. Cost wise is really dependent upon the resources that host has. It could be anywhere, because when small gas engines, those engines are about $350 a piece. So if they're starting out and that host doesn't have the tools or have the materials, well, they're going to set their registration fee accordingly to be able to get those materials. So you're looking at anywhere from a $900 to a $1,400 cost. And there's those variables for materials, meals, if hotels are included, that will range. So hosts are going to communicate that specifically when they set the registration fee, what's included.
Yeah, and even though that's a little bit of a variance there, it's at least good to know so people can get PD funds kind of earmarked. Can you talk any at all, the materials list and everything. Another question we always get, if people are on board with what it brings to students and they can attend the PD, what does it look like as far as terms of in the classroom, what materials would be absolutely necessary to teach it? Is there any varying degree of, does a teacher need to be set up with how many small engines, or would they be able to make it work with one, or just, if that's the barrier, what advice do you have for that?
Yeah, so in the curriculum, we have a very well outlined with the engine. It's suggested that you have an engine for every 2 students and they work in pairs. And then there's certain tools that you need at each station. You're going to need certain sockets, wrenches. You're going to need those spelled out. But then maybe there's some specialty tools that you only need one for every couple groups. And so we have a pretty detailed materials list that sums that up fairly well. And there will be some variance if you have a different model, but it gives the teachers a really good idea to pare it down. You don't have to go and get a specific 100-piece or 96-piece socket set. You can part it out pretty easily to where you're getting, the individual sockets that you specifically need for that engine, if that's a material budget constraint for you.
Yeah. I think it's always good just to remind teachers, especially if they look at the materials just before they take the training, they might think that they have to have all of that or know that they have to have the money to purchase it. But part of the best part of the PD is getting there, seeing how it works, and then adapting it for your local level. Are there any of our host locations that you feel confident you could share yet, or do we need to wait on that?
Oh, well, no, we can go ahead and put those. So teaser. So we have this year we're piloting in 4 locations, and those hosts are right now going through to set their price because we just got to them the materials list and whatnot. So they haven't been able to do that yet, but we're very excited to tentatively work with Kansas State University in cooperation with CanEquip. CanEquip is a New Holland case dealership right outside of Manhattan, Kansas. And then also with AgCentric and in Minnesota is going to partner up with a local high school. And so both of those events are in June. Then in July, we're looking at Washington State University. They have a great ag mechanics facility. And then PAAE, Pennsylvania Ag Teach Association, they have their annual summer conferences in July. We're going to be at the tail end of that. And the cool tidbit is it's in Mechanicsburg. So go learn mechanics skills in Mechanicsburg. How about that?
I love that. Think of all the cool swag they could have.
Yeah, right. So if you're interested in having one at your state, though, please look at having someone from your state or yourself go to one of these institutes, because after this summer is over and we're looking at this pilot to do 2 things: verify their changes, and then and to get a national base of lead teachers that can go out and facilitate this briefcase in different regions. So if that's not from your region but you want one, attend one, let case staff know, and then we can turn around and help work with you to schedule one in your area and maybe even hire you as one of the facilitators.
If that's what they're thinking, what time frame would you start being able, after these 4 pilots, to start incorporating into local events? Would that be this fall, or would people need to start planning for 2024?
2024 is definite.
Mm-hmm.
Potential fall, that hasn't really been defined. If you have a fall event that is on your horizon, go ahead and get in contact with us. We need to, as a staff, put together our time frame, but I'm pretty sure that we're not going to look at anything before October 1st for sure, because we want to make sure we fine tune it. But we don't see as many things that are going to be pairs that are going to have to change or whatever. We just want to verify the curriculum and the PD list before it goes and open and anyone can host it.
Yeah. So here's my last question. It might be loaded. Yeah. And if we have an answer and it's not one we're going to put, we'll just cut here. Right? Bye, everybody. No. I'll edit that. Also, it's saying my connection's unstable. Let me let that go. So my question is, if somebody is aware of or even has taken the Briggs and Stratton, what's the comparison? You know, if somebody's like, oh, I already did this with Briggs and Stratton, is there something we might want to say to them? What do we think?
So, you know, I took both the beginner and the advanced training for Briggs and Stratton, and I think they're great professional development events. And I would recommend to someone that even goes through the case, if you teach a lot of small gas engines, feel free to go there. Here's the differences between those two service opportunities or PD opportunities. CASE delivers a lot of curriculum. You'll see we work with Briggs and Stratton. We utilize some of their images, a lot of their images within our curriculum. And our initial writer, Carl Ockery, went and attended one of their workshops, and then how do we case-size that? It was one of the thought processes. So we work with them. They're power distributors, which is through Briggs as one of our vendors for our materials. So I have no slide on any of that, but if you're looking for how to pair the technical knowledge of when you go to Briggs and Stratton, how do you as a teacher then go tear down an engine and reassemble it? Briggs does a great job at that. I think what makes CASE a little bit different is we have the student-centered document, so that way it's turnkey when you leave from that. How do you then go and then teach your students those skills? So that's where we have taken it with a curriculum. But then again, if you're teaching small gas engines a lot, we have had a lot of teachers like myself that went through both of those, and they complement each other fairly well.
Right. So it's not to say that if somebody's hearing this and they're really into this curriculum, it's what they do and they already have Briggs. It's not like it'll be double dipping. It's just a good supplement to each other depending on which one they take first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts on small gas engines?
No. So if you just have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jesse or myself. Our information is on the CASE website. And especially if you're looking at how do I get to an institute this summer, we're looking at opening up registration in February. Jesse's a great person to reach out to that. If you're looking for more content about what's in the course, feel free to reach out to me. If you are looking to host one, don't wait till after you attended one to reach out to us. Reach out to immediately, because then that helps us get the idea of how to get the ball rolling for you.
For sure. And that is something important to consider. If sounds like you have a good mix of East, West Coast, and middle of the country, but if one of those isn't close enough to you and you want to bring that to your state, even if it's not going to happen until next year, always begin that conversation so that we can know. Sarah knows that. So all of us are available to contact on teachcase.org. We also have a Facebook if you're viewing it through that. And we look forward to certifying tons of teachers in small gas engine. All right, thanks.